So there was one question around the process of defining roles and responsibilities, and then more specifically, so for the RevOps team, specifically between overlapping roles like sales and customer success operations. Example, forecasting renewals and post-sales reporting, both of which have commercial sales implications but are focused on post-sales business. So I think this gets into how teams, how departments get started, and how hiring is done within departments. But if there are any advice that you might share on defining the roles and responsibilities within the RevOps team.
I could talk forever on this subject.
Okay, good.
I've had to do it absolutely everywhere I've ever gone, because everywhere I step in, it's catch-all, and you can do this. I think it's important to remember what's the role they signed up for, and does that charter still remain? Is it still important? Has it changed? And also keep in mind what their growth path is. And for me, whatever the role is that's needed for the business, the responsibilities underneath it need to line up to it. So I could hypothetically have an analyst who all she cares about is the systems, and then you need to probably move that person to a different role because you do need an analyst and you need them focused on those things. So you just have to make sure the subset of responsibilities align with the title as well, and getting alignment from the org. So having one slide that says, this is the team, this is what they're responsible for, each person, having that being your opening slide at every single meeting, because as we all know, you have to tell reps something minimally 7 times to get it through their head to remember. I think that's important too for reiteration.
Okay, any other comments on that?
So I would also just say that agree with everything Heidi said, but it can get tricky when that person isn't in your org, but lives in another org, but they work really closely together. But it's the same thing as you just make sure that you work closely with that hiring manager to make sure that, the roles you have on your team and the roles that they have on their team are defined, and there's overlap is to really make sure that there isn't, or at least this is how they're then going to work together, and the checks and balances. So if someone's reporting out on churn for a specific area, but your team's responsible for churn overall, is that there is, there's collaboration there and checks, so that when we're reporting up, it all adds up together, and you're not showing 2 different sets of data that doesn't ultimately tell the same story. So.
Okay. We had one other question. So Richard asked, in terms of roadmap, are you also looking at taking a more, a broader approach to the RevOps for those teams that are mostly SOP focused? Do you see RevOps building out to include MOPs and CISO ops responsibilities?
Well, firstly, need some explanation on those acronyms. So
yeah, I'm sorry,
so
Richard. I didn't
MOP is
justice.
Maybe MOP is marketing ops, and what is the other one? SOP, sales ops.
Yep.
Success ops too is in there.
Okay.
Yeah, marketing ops. Yes, thank you, Richard. I'm sorry, I butchered the. Just got this little itty bitty font on my screen. Sorry about that. Marketing ops, CS ops.